Okay, so I've been asked a couple times how to make black diesel. What is it? What does it consist of? How do I get it? Where do I get it? How do I make it? And recently, about 600 times. What does it take to make? Black diesel is very easy to explain. It's old engine oil, transmission oil, gear oil, any petroleum byproduct, um, filtered or processed to where you can convert it into diesel or run it as diesel. Older engines, 60s, 70s diesels, they'll run on straight engine oil, transmission oil. Newer 2000-ish motors will need blending. It's basically on my 03 I run 50% diesel, 50% used oil. That's 50-50. My 6-door I can run about 90% oil, 10% diesel, or if I was in an emergency, shit hits the fan, I could run straight oil into that thing. So, setup is really inexpensive for me because I shop around. If I'm going to save money at the pump, I'm going to save money on my equipment. These barrels, I get them for free at my local car wash. They use them biodegradable soap. They toss them out and I collect them. If you buy them, they're $15, $20, $30 on Craigslist, a little more if they're brand new. You will need a power supply. You will need a way of keeping that power supply charged. You will need a pump and filters. Filters to me are the key to getting a good, clean oil. So, first thing I do is I collect the oil from my buddies. Yesterday I did an oil change on a Freightliner, 36 quarts, it's a lot. First step is to set. You want your storage tanks, your second settling tank, your first settling tank, and I like this guy, it's my pre-filter. At the bottom, about 4 or 5 inches from the bottom, I've got these mesh filters, or mesh wiring, plastic. You can use old window screens, and the point of this one is, this is your shit catcher. When you get your oil, you don't know where it came from, or your buddies changes oil, let it sit for a while, water got in it, leaves, trash, dirt, dead animals. I've found dead animals. So, get your oil in here and you let it sit for a day, at least a day. You'll notice that the moisture, if there's any, will settle to the bottom of the tank. This is why I've got mine 4 inches from the bottom. Moisture sits to the bottom, oil will float. Buoyancy or oil is lighter, I don't know what it is, but it does. So the pre-filters catch the solid garbage shit you don't want contaminating your filters. Once you've let it sit, you want to check if you don't have any moisture. Here we've got just oil. And once you know you've got just oil, you start draining your pre-shit catcher into your settling tank. Now the spigot was about $5 at True Value, Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those hardware stores. The first barrel is going to settle. At the very bottom I've dropped about 15 large speaker magnets. I like the speaker magnets because they contain less metal. They don't rust like neodymium magnets, even though they're better. Magnets, this will catch all the crap, all the metal particles that are floating in your oil. It will settle. If you have clean oil without diesel or without gasoline, I do recommend adding about 2 to 3% of your quantity in gasoline. What this will do is the gas will attach itself to the oil. So at the very bottom, 1 to 2 inches, you'll end up with a milky brown sludge. And this is just water with antifreeze or any other contaminants attaching themselves to the gasoline, settling to the bottom. Always happens. I recommend just a little bit of gas. And if you've got a little bit of old diesel, drop it in. It makes transferring the pumps easier. Let it sit 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks. 1 if you're impatient, 2 weeks if you're patient. You'll notice that all the crap sets to the bottom. Once it's sat for 2 weeks, you want to take your hose. Now this pump setup, I got it used again. I actually got 2 pumps. I paid $75 for the total of them. You want this in the barrel 1 to 2 inches from the bottom of the barrel because all the garbage is settling to the bottom. So if you can go 3 inches, you'll avoid collecting more crap that will contaminate your filter, slow you down, and cost you more. Brand new, the pump with the little pre-filter or the mesh filter with the handle is about 120 from Harbor Freight. You can get them cheaper somewhere else. If you're really on a budget, you can even use a barrel pump, a barrel crank. It will be time consuming that way, but that's if the power's up. Once you've let this sit for 2 weeks, your magnets are in there, you're going to transfer it through your pump, through your filter. This is a Whirlpool filter. It takes cartridges that look like these. And people always ask me, well, if an engine ran in this stuff, is there going to be metal? Yes, there is. Magnets will capture the larger stuff. The filters will capture the smaller stuff. People always ask me if it'll ruin their injectors or their pumps or their pistons, and I always tell them no if you filter it correctly. And the reason why is, see if I can get it into focus. This is 20 micron filter. This is an oil filter. Your engine runs on 20 microns, and if your engine can run on 20 microns without spinning bearings or damaging valves, then that's the lowest target you want. Now, in this one, I've got a 20 micron filter, which is equivalent to an engine oil filter. And this one, I've got a 2 micron filter, way better than what your engine filters out. So, it will not damage if you do it properly and you take your time. First barrel, let it sit 2 weeks, magnet at the bottom, collect all the crap. Pump it, filter, goes into your second settling tank. Again, more magnets at the bottom, just in case you miss something. 1 week, 2 weeks, give it tops. Once it's been sitting here for 2 weeks, run it through another set of filtration into your holding tanks. Now these holding tanks will hold all your oil. At this point, you can start looking into blending. Blending is very important. It will keep you from getting pulled over by the CHP for environment pollution, emissions, and stuff like that. Now on my truck, again, 2003 Excursion, I run 50/50. On my older truck, I run 90/10. So on that truck, I can get my fuel cost down to 3 or 4 cents a gallon, about 40 cents, 50 cents. I'm sorry, 2 to 3 cents per mile, 40 to 50 cents a gallon. Very cheap. Prices are going up right now, especially in the summer. A lot of traveling. Locally, I can get diesel for about $3 or so. If I can make it for 50 cents, even better. Blending. How to blend. Start off at 10% oil, 90% diesel. Run it through your car, run it through your truck. Don't run it in your gas car. Run it through your truck. If you don't get black soot, white soot, smoke, nasty foul smell, or a check engine light, move up to 20% oil, 80% diesel, and keep moving up. Once you start getting soot or smell, soot, smell, or anything like that, then you're going to want to roll back, and that will be your magic number. Emissions. My 03 Excursion just passed smog. I run 50/50. I could run a little thicker, but I don't want to. I passed the sniff test, the emissions test, the computer test, and the visual test. Long College, California, one of the highest restrictive emissions laws. So if I can drive it in California and not get pulled over and not screw up the environment, Montana, Missouri, Kansas, I'm sure you could run really pure oil and not get in trouble. So, get barrels I get them for free. They're very expensive. I do recommend you pre-filtering depending on where you get it from. You don't know if it's got crap in it. The cost? I'm in it to about $200. I'm sure it's going to cost a little more if you don't shop around. Now this is what I refer to as black raw diesel. It's just filtration and blending. There is a cracking the oil where you heat the oil till it becomes a vapor. At that point you cool it down much like making moonshine, and you end up with a yellow, olive, creamy color oil, which is way better. The beauty of that is if you get the temperature right, you will vaporize the transmission oil and the engine oil, and heavier oils, gear oil, synthetics, detergents will stay at the bottom of the pot. And what this is basically a metal container, lit up, light fire under it. You want it to vaporize the oil. You don't want it to cook it, you want it to vaporize. So you're looking at about 450, 500 degrees. At that number, engine oil, transmission oil will vaporize. It will come out. You will run it through a condenser. Condenser will do exactly what it is, cool it down, 50, 60 degrees lower, and it will turn back into an oil. At that point, you've got a very nice clean oil. I would run it through a filtration because some metal is light, might have lead in it. You don't want to run that. Filter it. Once it's cool, you then blend it. It's a higher quality oil, and it's what some refineries do to use engine oil to sell it back to you. Centrifuge. Freightliners use Mercedes diesels on some of them. They have a centrifuge and a cartridge filter. It goes through the cartridge and goes through a centrifuge. Basically, it spins it at high RPMs, and all the sludge, the metal, and anything heavy sticks to the wall, collects, and they get rid of it. What you end up is a very clean oil. If you can only afford to filter it, I do recommend that. And shit hits the fan, you can go up to old diesels, old shops and collect the oil. It's very inexpensive to build this mobile. In fact, my sixth store has a mobile 600 gallon capacity storage. So I can walk up to an oil transmission shop and siphon the oil. Disposal. There will be disposal, especially out of this barrel and your oil cartridges. There are Napa, O'Reilly, AutoZone shops that will take the stuff and they'll filter it for you. They'll take it, they won't charge you. Dispose of it properly and throw it in the trash, including your container. Now, where do you get oil from? You can get it from your buddies, you can get it from your oil changes, you can store it, you can stockpile it, but the best place I've learned is transmission shops, lube shops, and repair shops. The key is finding a knowledgeable person who has a company, comes out and gets the oil for them. Environmentally, they have to get rid of it, dispose of it properly. So some shops won't give you the oil for that reason. The main reason why some shops won't give you oil is liability. They pay companies to take this. Those companies have insurance policies. If you take the oil and between the time you leave the shop and the time you get home, in California, the law is that the shop is partially responsible as much as you are. Say you're driving home with 500 gallons, you roll your car over, you've got a huge environmental problem. You're responsible for that, so is the shop. So for that reason, many shops won't give up their oil. Second reason is they've got logbooks. They need to know how much they're disposing of, and it's environmental mumbo jumbo red tape. Got a buddy that runs a shop, got a buddy that works at a shop, ask him, hey, a shop, you're paying this company to take the oil. I will take it for free. In fact, I've actually had some shops pay me $10 per 55 gallons to take this stuff. So I'm already making money there. Google it, look at shops. If they say no, move on to the next shop, the next shop, the next shop. Eventually you'll find one that's got hundreds of gallons of this stuff lying around. I do recommend the 55-gallon barrels. They are not easy to move, especially these little guys once they're full. You can't move them. They're easy to fit into your car or truck. Little ones. If you're going to go with steel barrels, get the stainless steels. If you can't afford those, go with the food grade barrels. They are a tighter steel. Keep them out of moisture, keep them on a pallet. If they're steel, you don't want them rusting out and you've got 55 gallons on the floor to sweep up. This is a very, very messy setup. Very messy. It will get everywhere. In fact, this is my horse's stall and I kick them out. I already got oil everywhere. It's messy. Get used to it. If this is the life you want to do, if this is what you want to do, it's messy. The beauty of this is you can collect the stuff, you can stockpile it, you can get stainless steel barrels and store your diesel for future. I never blend it in barrels, I let it sit so that if I've got a different vehicle that comes in, I can blend it then and not have to deal with it. I do keep a 50-50 blend for emergencies for trucks, because most trucks will run on 50-50. Older trucks, that's why I don't blend so much. If you've got any other questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. I hope I covered everything in this video. Again, anyone can do it. You don't need barrels, you don't need all this fancy equipment. Literally, I spent $200 on this stuff. I've seen people spend thousands on biodegradable or biodiesel. In an emergency, you're not going to get the chemicals to take the glycerin out of vegetable oil to turn it into biodiesel. It's a pain in the ass. You've got to dispose of the glycerin. Glycerin can be a big problem, or you can use the glycerin to mix it. This you'll find anywhere. Engines, shops, everywhere. Oil will be around for a very long time. It has been for millions of years. So I hope this video is useful. I hope I covered everything. Let me know what you think. Later.